Stan Lee. Why now? I have a few insights on this, and I have a lot of opinions, and you're going to find out right now. Welcome to Wonder World Comics. I'm Dennis Barger, 45-year veteran of buying everything collectible, 35-year veteran of selling everything collectible, and 20-year veteran of owning stores. If you've been reading the news lately, for the last month, you've been hearing Stan Lee's name quite a lot. There was a lot of hubbub about a month ago because there was going to be a documentary. We're going to talk about that in a second. They just had a new article this week about all of the behind the scenes of what happened with Stan Lee in his last years. We lost Stan Lee in November 2018, 7 years ago. The comic industry wasn't the same without him. But why now? Why is all of this Stan Lee drama bubbling up to the surface? A lot of people don't know, but Disney and Marvel Comics had a deal with Stan. The deal was signed many years before he passed away as the ambassador to Marvel Comics, as the ambassador to comic books in general. Stan Lee meant everything to this industry. And Marvel and Disney wanted to make sure he stayed on their side. Now, I don't know 100% of these details, but they came to me by pretty reliable sources. The deal was Stan got $1 million a year until he passed away. And Stan collected that million every year, I guarantee you. But there were also side deals. Stan always cared about his wife and his only daughter, Joni, and Joni, who is later called JC, just to make sure you don't confuse the two. Joni had a deal. If Stan passed away before she did, she got $500,000 a year until she passed away. This was to make sure she was taken care of based on the way Stan would have tried to take care of her. A lot of people don't know it, but there was a third deal in place. What happens if Stan and Joni are both gone? What happens for his daughter, JC? I've been told that she was contracted to receive $250,000 a year for the next 4 to 5 years after Stan passed away. Well, that deal expired last year. That might be why a lot of this is now coming out, because JC's deal is gone and now the money is gone. And a lot of people are pointing a lot of fingers at where the money went. I think that with all of this money drying up, the statute of limitations ending for elder abuse in the state of California, I think now is the time that all of this stuff is bubbling up because all of these things have expired. I think the lawsuits from JC are going to be coming, and I'm not 100% sure she's not wrong in doing it and pursuing it. A lot of people made a lot of money off of Stan Lee. I'm one of those people. I have a history with Stan Lee. I put on a convention called Detroit Fanfare. It was an homage to the original conventions like Detroit Triple Fanfare that Stan attended to help foster the growth of the comic book industry in the 60s. Stan was a big part of all of that. And I wanted to have Stan at my first convention. I didn't even know it was possible. Lucky for me, 2 of my friends were good friends with Stan. And they said, hey, do you want to call Stan and invite him? And I'm like, that's possible? They're like, yeah, here, let's call him. They picked up the phone, and before you know it, we're on speakerphone with Stan Lee. He said, I'd love to do the show, Dennis. Talk to my manager, Max, and we'll make all the details happen. Max was perfect and accommodating. The whole time Stan came out to my convention, he was Stan Lee at 100%. 110 at some points. I'll tell you, we used to joke about Stan after that convention because Stan was like a machine. He agreed and was contracted to do 1,000 autographs during the course of the show, as well as sign 100 autographs for me personally for putting on the show. Stan would sign 100, 200 autographs, and then he would take a break. He'd come into the back room, and kind of like Bob Barker in Happy Gilmore, when he comes to life and grabs Adam Sandler, that was Stan. He would just rest his head for 10 or 15 minutes, have a little bit of the deli food that he asked to have in the green room, and then would go right out and turn right back into Stan Lee at 110%. And he would sign for another 100, 200 autographs.
I hope you were all taking notes.
He was a machine. But I thankfully got an opportunity to talk to Stan throughout that whole weekend. And the one thing that Stan made clear to me, I am doing all of this so that when I'm gone, my wife Joni and my daughter JC have the biggest pile of cash I can possibly leave them. Stan knew what that rigorous schedule meant. He wanted to do those. He wanted to make sure every opportunity to get cash and put it in a pile for his wife and his daughter would be what he would do until he died. He thought he was going to pass away before both of them. Sadly, before Stan died, his wife, who he was totally devoted to, passed away. We all said it in the industry. Is this what's going to kill Stan? I honestly think if he had just stopped at that point, it might have. Joni was his entire life. Joni wanted to make sure that Stan was taken care of, and without her around, Stan only had the infrastructure he had. All of a sudden, all the sharks started moving on Stan after Joni passed away. I saw it happening. I saw friends of mine trying to get a hold of Stan, and the connections that they had to get Stan were all gone. Stan was isolated. He was alone. He was frail. There were some people around, but they didn't have his best interests in heart. They wanted to milk every last cent they could out of him. One of the people that was around Stan before Joni passed away and after Joni passed away decided to try to start a Kickstarter to make a documentary showing us how Stan was abused those last several years. I wasn't alone. Everybody said, if you saw Stan being abused, why didn't you do everything? This guy, I'm not even going to mention his name, his defense was, I tried. There were powers more powerful than me, keeping me from being able to do it. Nobody had listened to me. I would have listened. I know a lot of us would have listened. But now, 7 years later, you tell us you have video of Stan being abused, and you want us to pay you money to see our grandfather, the grandfather of the entire comic book industry, being abused. If somebody came to me and said, hey, you know, your grandpa was in the nursing home for those last couple years. Dude, I got videos of all kinds of people abusing him and taking advantage of him. Would you like to see those after he passed away? Pretty sure everybody here would say, no, I don't want to watch my grandfather being abused. And none of us want to watch Stan being abused. Thankfully, this Kickstarter died. Came nowhere near being funded. And hopefully, this person who watched Stan being abused, hopefully he figures out the message, which is nobody thinks that you're entirely innocent. Nobody thinks that you should profit in any way, shape, or form from witnessing this abuse. And if he does finally make this video, this documentary about one of the greatest men I've ever known, I hope everyone pays attention to who's shown as abusers and who's not shown as an abuser. Because to me, the people who want this to happen want this man to edit out their abuse of Stan and point the finger at people they claim abuse Stan. pay real close attention to that. I just want to say, Stan Lee in 2010 and multiple times year after year until he passed away, I got to see the man, I got to talk to him, brief moments, but every single one of those moments was special. He did my convention. He gave me collectibles that I don't think I'll ever appreciate more, because his name is on it, than any of the other stuff I have in my stores. The man was, I'll say it, the saint of the comic book industry. Even if you don't like him for this reason or that, this comic industry would not be what it is without a guy like Stan Lee hyping it. And for that, I'm glad he's resting in peace, so he doesn't have to see all this crap going on right now. Thank you for watching Wonderworld Comics. I'm Dennis Barger. I'll be bringing you more content like this. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks.